Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahawa Kajura, but first, other headlines. Parliament to discuss how to reduce road accidents. Rwanda genocide convict leaves jail pending appeal. Fuel and electricity prices increase. In our sports news today, Mali, Uganda settle for Bahrain stalemate. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Please start with one of our top stories. Legislators will hold a comprehensive debate on how to curb the increasing road accidents, which have claimed many lives. Our reporter followed up this story. In a sitting of the House on Friday, 6th January 2023, the Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa directed the Minister for Works and Transport to present a statement on the road accidents and what the enforcing agencies are doing to curb the carnage. Tayebwa cited the many accidents over the festive season, which claimed many lives. Some of the people killed in the accidents included the former Member of Parliament for Serere Country, Patrick Okabe, and his wife. 3 members of the family of retired Supreme Court Justice Paul Mugamba were also killed in an accident on the Kampala-Mityana road. Several people have also been killed in crashes involving public service vehicles, with the latest being a bus that rammed into a stationary trailer on the Gulu Highway near Kamudini on Thursday, 5th January 2023. The responsibility to scrutinize government plans to counter road carnage on Parliament. He proposed the need to review the issuance of permits, a process he said has been compromised by those who obtain permits by bribery as opposed to the required proof of training. Moving on, a French-Rwandan man sentenced in Paris in 2021 for complicity in genocide has been released from prison pending his appeal. Claude Muhaimana was released from detention on 21st December and placed under judicial supervision pending his appeal.
The former driver, who has appealed his conviction, was referred to the investigative division of the Parish Court of Appeal, which ruled on 30th November that the extension of his pre-trial detention did not appear to be essential, either for the needs of the proceedings pending the hearing or as a security measure. He was released from the detention on 21st December and placed under judicial supervision pending his appeal. The 61-year-old, who became a naturalized French citizen in 2010, is accused of having transported gendarmes and Interahamwe militiamen, the armed wing of the Hutu genocidal regime, to the sites of massacres of Tutsi between April and July 1994 in Chibuye and surrounding hills, where tens of thousands of people were killed. In December 2021, he was found guilty by a majority of votes of complicity in genocide and complicity in crimes against humanity in the hills of Karongi, Gitu and Visesero over the period from 7th April to the end of June 1994, and of complicity in crimes against humanity in July in the hills of Visesero.
Thank you so much, reporter. Moving on, the Senegalese government has announced a rise in fuel and electricity prices starting on Saturday, January 7th, 7 p.m. GMT. The cost of diesel and petrol will increase by 100 CFA francs. In his December 31st address to the nation, President Macky Sall announced a reinforcement of the social protection effort in 2023 with a mobilization of 450 billion CFA francs to subsidize food and energy products. Gas cylinders are now affected by the increase, nor is paraffin. The government has promised accompanying measures for transporters. The increase in prices is due to rise global hydrocarbon prices linked to the post-COVID economic and the ongoing war in Ukraine. As for electricity, the increase will be applied in the installments and will not affect users who consume less than 150 kilowatts per hour every 2 months, an effort to spare disadvantaged households. Away from that, the 46 Ivorian soldiers pardoned by Mali's junta leader returned home Saturday night. After their plane landed at 11:40 p.m., the unified soldiers disembarked one by one, each brandishing a small Ivorian flag. We have more.
The soldiers were greeted by President Alassane Ouattara before entering the presidential pavilion at the airport, where their families were waiting for them. With the pardon and the return of the troops, tensions between the neighboring countries are calming down as President Ouattara wishes to move on from the diplomatic spat. The soldiers had previously been detained in Mali since July 2022 and sentenced to 20 years of prison for conspiracy against the government until they were pardoned. Mali had accused them of being mercenaries while Ivory Coast and the United Nations say they were flown in to provide routine backup security for the German contingent of the UN peacekeeping mission.
Moving on, Zimbabwe has registered its largest wheat harvest in 2022, 375,000 tons, making the Austro-African country a self-sufficient agricultural powerhouse. With 375,000 tons of wheat harvest registered for 2022, Zimbabwe is set to become a self-sufficient agricultural powerhouse, a unique performance in Africa. The harvest in 2022 was 13% higher than the previous year, breaking a half-century-old record. The area sown to wheat has increased by 10%, and above all, the state has set up a policy of distributing fertilizer and buying crops via a public body, the Grain Marketing Board, which has won over farmers. The country no longer needs to import wheat to meet its needs, saving up to $300 million in import costs. In the current context where African countries are suffering from the absence or high cost of Russian and Ukrainian wheat, Zimbabwe stands out for its proactive policy. Thank you so much, reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with business, health, and sports. Welcome back for the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In a business news today, the rise in food prices in the Republic of Congo continues despite the measures taken by the government to combat the high cost of living. We have more.
In October 2022, Brazzaville exempted imported products from customs duties before publishing a decree in December of the same year to freeze the prices of basic necessities. These measures were welcomed by civil society, but the reality on the market is quite different. In its latest update on food inflation, the World Bank points out that more than 90% of countries experienced inflation above 5% in September, and that the increase was much higher in food. An increase of 18% for wheat between October 2021 and October 2022, 27% of maize, and 10% for sunflower, prices that will remain high until the end of 2024, stresses the Washington-based institution, which is alarmed at catastrophic situation of poor countries, according to the French media Le Monde. Africa's seventh largest producer of black gold is unfortunately not spared. In Congo-Brazzaville, being able to make 1 or 2 meals a day of saka or ebembe ya adola broth has become a daily fight for most households.
In our health news today, Africa's top public health body, Africa Center for Disease Control, announced on Thursday that Ebola outbreak in Uganda is coming under control. According to Africa CDC, it had been 39 days since the last confirmed case of the virus had been reported in the country. The center's acting director, Ahmed Uguel Omar, told a briefing that if no new cases were reported in Uganda by Jan 10, then the outbreak would be over. Officials first confirmed the outbreak of Ebola in September and said it was the Sudan strain of the disease, for which there is no proven vaccine. According to the World Health Organization and the Ugandan Ministry of Health, as of 3rd January 2023, there have been 142 confirmed cases of CVD, of which 55 died and 87 recovered. The Ebola outbreak took around 70 days to control, with 142 confirmed cases and 55 deaths. In a sports news today, Uganda and Mali played out a goalless draw on Sunday as the two sides faced off in a friendly game played at Jebel Stadium in Tunisia. In a closely contested game, either side created chances but could not find the much-needed breakthrough.
Uganda and Mali used the game as part of preparations for the African Nations Championship, which starts this Friday in Algeria. Coach Mitchell made several changes in the team that had started against Cameroon on Thursday. Ashraf Mandela and Issa Mobiro started as right back and left back respectively, with Gift Fred maintaining his slot at the heart of defense, playing alongside Hilary Mukundane. Uganda started on the bright note, with Sematimba making several inroads into Mali's backline. In the second half, the coach made more changes, bringing James Begisa, Bright Aunukani, Rogers Mato, Frank Sebufu and Ibrahim Reid. This was the third friendly match for Uganda and Tunisia, having drawn 2-2 against Sudan before playing out 1-1 draw with Cameroon. Uganda Cranes will leave Tunisia on Wednesday to connect to Annaba in Algeria, where the team will be based for their Group B games against Democratic Republic of Congo, Senegal and Ivory Coast.
Well, thank you so much, your reporter. It is at this particular time that I thank you for being with us and there is joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which will keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the bright to know.